Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. If you follow basketball, you know Showdown hoops.
So this is really good right here. Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen all over the world. Y'all know what time it is when y'all see me. It's Showdown Hoops. Y'all know what time it is when y'all see me. It is the show that talks primarily pro basketball. This is what we do around here, and we are now in the playoffs. I want to make sure that I say this to you guys. We are in the playoffs, and now it's getting really good. See, because when you play in the first round, the stuff that you do and the stuff that you get away with in the first round, you can't get away with it. You can't get away with it in the second round. The stuff that you do in the second round, you can't get away with it in the conference finals because it's a better team. The stuff that you do in the NBA finals, all of this stuff adds up, right? All of this stuff adds up. So this team that the Boston Celtics saw in round one, Orlando, so now they're running up on a Knicks team that's a lot better. So the stuff that they were able to do in the first round, they're not going to get away with that against the Knicks. So, for example, allowing physicality early, that's what cost them a game in game 3. Now, once they were able to recognize that that's what the problem was, and then they started to play, which I'm not a big fan of oversimplifying things. Never really been a big fan of oversimplifying things, but But with that being said, right? With that being said, I look at this Boston Celtic team and I look at this New York Knicks team, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, what do the Knicks do better than Boston? Because Boston does everything that they do. You guys shoot the long ball, we shoot the long ball. You guys are versatile on offense, so are we. You guys get on the glass, we're a top 5 glass cleaning team in the league. You guys play defense, we're a top 5 defense in the league. We are not lacking anything in terms of buckets anywhere, right? So with that being said, how do the New York Knicks beat the Boston Celtics? Well, they have to do their best to guard at the long ball line. They got to limit shots. I don't think that they can do that. I don't. They got to guard at the long ball line. They got to limit shots. On top of that, their offense can't stall. They're not good enough offensively to stall, where they can go 3-4 minutes without scoring because their defense isn't good enough. Their defense is not good enough against this Boston team to have lapses like that because Boston will throw them in a hole 15, just like that. So with that being said, I look at this. I look at this Boston Celtic Knicks series. I think the Celtics should handle these dudes in 5 games. I think that they should handle them. Jayson Tatum dominates against the New York Knicks. He gets whatever he wants whenever he wants. They do a great job in mismatch hunting. They do everything that they can to put and keep Cat in action with both Josh Hart as a dirty work guy and Mikal Bridges as a defender on the wing. He's been inefficient as a screen navigator. Well, the Celtics run a lot of screen and roll, a lot of screen and dive. They run a lot of screen action where they can get guys mismatches. That's a problem for guys like Mikal Bridges, who I'm still blown away by the fact that he's not as good a screen navigator as he's been in the past. I wonder what happened to him as a screen navigator. That still blows my mind. But they should, right? They should handle these guys. And I think more than anything, without Julius Randle, there's a toughness aspect to this team that they don't have. They got some tough guys, but there's a difference between having tough guys and being tough. And I think Julius Randle brought that. He brought a toughness to this group that they just don't have. And I think that very well could be the difference in this series. As if you're on the subject of tough, I mean, that Golden State team, I said this earlier today when I was talking to the fellas. There's things that you account for. And when you have, right, when you have teams who, peace God, when you have teams that are prepared for everything, like the Houston Rockets were, they were prepared for everything. But then there's this one thing that you're just not prepared for. This throws a monkey wrench in everything else that you're doing. Because now you didn't account for this. And because you didn't account for this, now everything else I accounted for, I gotta go away from that to now divert my attention to this, which now allows that other stuff that I did account for to get better. So in the scouting report, right? In the scouting report, can you guys do me a favor? If anybody's out there, can you please deal with this, show? Can you guys please deal with this? Because when the Golden State Warriors, this guy is the epitome of a front runner. This guy right here, Noman Khan, he is the epitome of a front runner. Let me tell you why he's the epitome of a front runner. And I'm going to show you why he's the epitome of a front runner right here, guys. This is why he's the epitome of a front runner. This right here. Chill, don't you ever doubt the King Curry. What you got to say now? Just so you guys know, I want you guys to know this, just so you guys know, earlier this year, when the Golden State Warriors were terrible, when they were teetering around like the 9, 10, 11 area, it was crickets from him. I couldn't find him any, and I wasn't bashing the Golden State Warriors. I actually had them, I was just being honest about what they were. This was before they got to this is before they got to Jimmy Butler, right? This is before they got to Jimmy Butler. I wasn't bashing them. I was being honest. I was being honest about the Warriors. I didn't have them making the playoffs. And it was coming to fruition before they traded for Jimmy Butler. This was a bad team. Overall, this was a very bad team. They weren't very good. They trade for Jimmy Butler. You get that secondary scorer that you didn't have. Now, all of a sudden, they now get into the playoffs. But up until that point, they weren't very good at all. I couldn't find, and again, I wasn't quote unquote looking for smoke. Like, I told y'all Curry something. No, I wasn't doing that. That's not what was going on. I said before the season started, this is where I was with them. This is where I had them. Now, Noman, because they won a playoff series, now Noman is here. Don't get on our bandwagon now when you weren't on it in the beginning. You weren't on it in the beginning. This team was bad, and I was up here every Monday, every Tuesday, like I am, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and we couldn't find you anywhere. Now this team has gotten better, and here you come. Here you come, the internet warrior that you are, right? The internet warrior that you are, the keyboard warrior that you are, sitting behind the computer, hiding your face, not saying a word. We couldn't find you anywhere. Now this team got better, and right before the playoffs, like a month before the playoffs, the team had gotten better, and then here he comes. Yeah, chill. What's up with my boys now? Yeah, chill. What's up with my boys now? Not saying a word. So this is such a disingenuous, right? This is such a disingenuous take from this guy, and I have such a difficult time dealing with people like this. And on top of that, there's this there's this logic that if Steph Curry gets his 5th ring, that means that he's ahead of LeBron James. Well, why does it take 5 rings to put him ahead of LeBron James? If you think that he's better than him now, he's already tied with him, right? He's already tied with him with rings. So if you think that you already think that now. So put him there. Put him there right now. If you already think that another ring putting him ahead of him, that doesn't change anything. What I don't get is why is it so important? Like, why is it so important to do that? But I just don't want to talk about that. And the reason why I don't want to talk about that is because I have such a difficult time with dudes who front run. And this guy's a front runner. He's the epitome of that. He's the epitome of that. So anyway, when you don't account for when you don't account for something, right? When you don't account for something, not like what happened yesterday with the Golden State Warriors in Houston. When you don't account for something, now you put yourself in such a hole. Even though it's not something that you could have accounted for. By show of hands, how many of you guys here had Buddy Hield going off for 30? I'm gonna rephrase the question. How many of you guys in here had Buddy Hield going off for 20? How many of you guys in here had Buddy going off for 18? Let's just take 33 off the table. How many of you guys had him going off for 6, 7 threes by show of hands? Because I can tell you, I did not. I did not have him doing that. I didn't. So when he goes off for 30, 22 in the first half, shooting the ball, stretching the defense the way that he does, one dribble pull-ups, creating space, basically keeping them afloat because Curry didn't do anything in the first half. As a scorer, as a shooter, yes, he definitely attracted the defense because that's what Curry does. When he moves off the ball, he's incredible at that. We all know that. But the question is when you have what is Curry most known for? Curry is most known for being a shooter. Most known for that. He's not known for much else besides that. Even though Curry was great yesterday in a lot of other areas. He had 10 rebounds yesterday. That was a big deal. And he's done that more. He's done that in the past, and it's gotten overlooked, even in the 2017 finals. He almost averaged a triple-double in that series. And we got wrapped up in what KD was doing, but that's neither here nor there. I want to focus on what Buddy Hield brought and how he was able to keep them afloat. Because Jimmy Butler wasn't great yesterday in terms of a bucket getter, but he was awesome as a screen setter. He was awesome keeping pressure on the defense. I never really felt like, even when Houston cut the lead to 3, I never felt like Golden State was not in control of that game. I just didn't. I never felt like I never felt like they weren't in control of that game. I felt like, because I had seen it from Curry before, I always felt like they're going to figure this out. And Houston was expending all of their energy. Houston was spending all of their energy getting back in the game. All of it. And by the time we got to where they're at 3, okay, that was their punch. And Golden State blows the game right back open. They blow the game right back open. And when they blow the game open, I mean, it went from 3 to 9 to 20, just like that. I was blown away by that, right? I was blown away by the fact that it went from 3 to 7 to 11 to 17 to 20, just like that. When you got a defense that's as good as Golden State's defense has been, and you had an offense that's as inefficient as Houston's offense, with Sengun not being able to process defenses fast enough, not taking shots that are there for him, that right there is a recipe for disaster. But I say that to say, this next series, I want to pick the Minnesota Timberwolves so bad. I'm not saying that I want to pick the Minnesota Timberwolves just because of my heart. No, I want to pick the Minnesota Timberwolves off the strength of the matchup and how these guys are playing. How much better is Julius Randle playing in these playoffs? How much better is Jaden McDaniels played in these playoffs? I mean, like, we're seeing guys growing into their roles, and they've just been so much better. So much better, right? Excuse me. So because of that, I want to pick the Minnesota Timberwolves off the strength of how good Anthony Edwards is at getting downhill. Because what they're going to do, they're going to do everything that they can to get posts in action. They don't have anybody that's going to be able to stay in front of Anthony Edwards. Not one guy. So they're going to have a variety of guys dealing with Anthony Edwards. They're going to have Moody dealing with him. They're going to have Gary Payton dealing with him. They're going to have Pods dealing with him, right? They're going to have a number of different guys dealing with him. So because they're going to have a number of guys dealing with him, their plan is to wear him down. It didn't work with the Lakers. It really didn't. He just got to the rim whenever he wanted. So because of that, I'm thinking, all right, so if he's going to be able to get to the rim, not necessarily with ease. I'm not going to say that because I think Draymond's going to cover him too. Yeah, I think Draymond's going to cover him too. But I think he's going to be able to get to the rim with the best of them this series. I think he's going to be able to finish around the rim with the best of them. I think Julius Randle is going to beat up on their front line. If he can, and if he can do what he did in the last series, and what I mean when I say do what he did in the last series, The same thing that hampered Golden State in this Houston series, which is get on the glass. Him, Rudy, Naz Reid. If they could get on the glass and get on the glass in a space where they can offensive rebound. The problem with getting on the glass when you cracking a long ball like that is long rebounds lead to fast breaks. That's exactly what the Golden State Warriors want to do. When you're shooting in the mid post, which is where Julius Randle is good, when you shooting going downhill, now you got guys to crash the glass, like Julius Randle, like Naz Reid, like Rudy. When you have big bodies around, and the Golden State Warriors don't have that. So Minnesota can take advantage of their size. Then on top of that, they have the depth. Golden State has the depth too, but Minnesota has the depth. The thing that I'm thinking about with this series, because Anthony Edwards has been somewhat of the giant slayer, right? Anthony Edwards has been somewhat of the giant slayer over these last couple of years. Bounce KD and Book, bounce Joker. Now this season, bounce James. I want to pick him so bad in this series off the matchup alone. But then I'm thinking to myself, Golden State, they still got Steph Curry. They still have Steph Curry. And my philosophy was, is, and will always be, my best player is better than your best player. And I've watched Minnesota. This is even before they got Jimmy Butler. I watched Minnesota and Golden State play. And when we get into the meat and potatoes of games, because Minnesota has kept the game close, right? Minnesota has kept the game close. But when we get into the meat and potatoes of the game, Steph Curry has repeatedly outplayed Anthony Edwards. Repeatedly outplayed Anthony Edwards. No doubt about that. In Thunder, this is fair. This is 100% fair. Chill, to be fair, you did say LeBron. The Lakers had LeBron also. Now, Thunder, with that being said, can I also add, is it not also fair for me to say Anthony Edwards outplayed LeBron James in that series? Is it also fair to say that he outplayed Luka in that series? Is that not fair for me to say that? And I'm not just talking about from a shooting aspect. Is it not fair for me to say that my best player outplayed your best player? Because if I'm at it, because I think about what Anthony Edwards did, right? I think about what Anthony Edwards did against that Laker team, getting on the glass, not only just getting on the glass, his ability to score throughout the course of these playoffs, his ability to get downhill and attack James, right? And attack James, who was their 5-man. He's their Rudy Gobert. Right? He's their Rudy Gobert. 100%. He is their Rudy Gobert. So because of that, right? Because of that, see, this is what I'm talking about right here. Like, see this? So you think the Nuggets beating the Thunder because they got Joker? Whoa. I said my best player is better than your best player. That means that throughout the course of the series, my best player outplays your best player. So my best player was better than your best player in the series. Does that mean that my best player is better than your best player overall? No, it doesn't mean that. But my best player was better than your best player in this particular series. That's what that means. And when I think about what Steph Curry did against Minnesota, he outplayed Anthony Edwards down the stretch. Now, the thing that I have some hope with, this is the thing that I have some hope with. The thing that I have some hope with is Jaden McDaniels is a much better scorer this year in the playoffs than he was last year. He's doing much more in the playoffs as a bucket getter, right? He's doing much more as a bucket getter than he did last year. Way more. Julius Randle is way more of an efficient scorer this season. I ain't even talking about the other stuff that he does, because Julius Randle will get on the glass. Julius Randle is tough in the mid-post, and he will get on the glass and do what he can to hold your team to one shot, which I said before the series started that I think that that's a huge part of what they're doing. A huge part of what they're doing. So because of that, right? Because of that. This team has been different. But in the end, the Golden State Warriors yesterday would be a prime example. Curry made it clear. Keep it close. Curry made it clear. Keep it close, and I'll end it. And that's what happened yesterday. They kept it close. Houston ends up getting back in the game. Curry closed the game out. 14 in the fourth quarter. Played great in the fourth quarter. I will close it out. I can appreciate everything that Buddy Hield did, which which of course we didn't account for. But they did cut the lead to 3 in the fourth. They did do that. In the third, they cut the lead to 4 in the fourth quarter. That did happen. 100% that happened. So because of that, Curry comes in, ends it. There you have it. Curry comes in, closes the game out. As long as you can keep the game close, if my best player can outplay your best player, then you have my theory of my best player is better than your best player. So with Anthony Edwards, right? With Anthony Edwards, Lakers off season, knock it off, man, with the offense. It still doesn't negate my point of my best player was better than your best player. It still doesn't negate that. So regardless of how good or how Houston's offense was, they still were able to get back in the game. They still were able to do that. Yes or no? They still were able to do that. And with them still being able to get back in the game, we had a ball game. And we still needed somebody on our side, which is the Golden State Warriors, to close the game out. And they did that. They still did that. So this is what this was my point. If you keep it close, kind of like what Dirk did in 2011, kind of like what Dirk did in 2011 in the NBA Finals, when he kind of like what Dirk did in 2011 in the NBA Finals, when he clearly outplayed LeBron James. Clearly, my best player is better than your best player. Clearly. So the thing I'm thinking about with this Minnesota team, and this is exactly why I want to pick them so bad, because Jaden McDaniels and Julius Randle are playing better. So they may not have to solely rely on Anthony Edwards to close games. They may get games, right? They may get games where, right? They may get games where Julius Randle, I know, and I know this sounds crazy. They may get games where Julius Randle closes out a game. I know that sounds ridiculous, but the way that he's been playing, that may be that may be the case. He comes up with big rebounds and putbacks. Jaden McDaniels knocks down big shots. That may happen. So with all of that being said, I want to pick Minnesota so bad. But the same way I felt about James in Game 7, I feel that way about Curry in this playoff series. And for me, you are going to have to bury him. You have to. You gotta put that piece right behind his ear, and you got to pull a trigger, and you got to do it 3, 4, 5, 6 times to make sure he's over. For me, when it comes to Steph Curry. That's how you're gonna have to end him. It's not just gonna be like one time. Nope. And even though Anthony Edwards has been the giant slayer, right? He has not been a giant. He has been the giant slayer. I got to see it with Curry. I do. I 100% have to see it with Curry. I'd be lying if I said I did not have to see it with Curry. I got to see it with Curry. So, if they can do that, right? If they can do that, I think that I think we have ourselves a series. 100% we do. If Minnesota can do that, I think we have a series, and I think Minnesota can bounce them. I do. So, we had another Game 7 over the weekend, man. Right? Over the weekend, I'm so surprised at how the Clippers just folded. I mean, I think I had Denver in 6. Right? I had Denver in 6. I had them winning the series. Right? I had them winning the series, but I did not have them smoking the Clippers. I thought I'd get a much better. I thought I'd get a much better performance from Kawhi Leonard. I thought I'd get a much better performance from James Harden. I thought that I don't. If you remember, right? If you remember, I remember saying that James Harden is going to give me a game, and he did. There was Game 5. That was the game that I thought, the James Harden game in the playoffs, where we know at some point he's going to stink it up at least once. And I thought that was it. I thought that was all I was getting. I did not think that I was getting any more. Only I did. Only I did. And only I did. And I watched that Game 7, and I watched how Denver as a unit defensively, how they stifled the Clippers, how they kept Kawhi at bay. Not only how they kept Kawhi at bay, but how Christian Brown almost completely took James Harden out of the game, gave him nothing downhill, was not allowing the Clippers to speed the game up and get their transition game going, made guys like Derrick Jones Jr. completely and utterly ineffective. Now you're relying on Chris Dunn to knock down shots. Now you're relying on Bogey to knock down shots because your main guys are completely ineffective. So because of that, now you find yourself in a space where Denver's guys are all rolling. Denver's guys are all rolling, which I love, by the way. Denver's guys are all rolling. I don't think anybody scored 20, but I think you had 6 guys in double figures, right? 6 guys in double figures. And this is also interesting because we have an interactive show here, right? So this dude says, man, come on. You know you hated the Clippers all year. I've watched all your streams and you've done nothing but hate on the Clippers. I didn't have the Clippers making the playoffs this year. You're right. I didn't. I did not have the Clippers making the playoffs this year. And I did not have them beating the Nuggets. I had the Nuggets beating them in 6 games. So what's your point? What is your point? I didn't think that they were that good. Turns out they weren't. What's your point? You don't have one. My point is, this Denver Nuggets team as a collection was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic, this Denver Nuggets team. So I think Joker got all that he could handle from Zubac. I thought that Zubac was great around the rim. I thought that he was fantastic on the glass. I thought he did as good a job as anybody can do, holding Joker to one shot, forcing Joker into tough shots. I thought he held his ground on the box, right? I thought that he could hold his own on the box, and I think he did a great job at holding his own on the box. And because of that, right? Because of that, and I think this is interesting. Yeah, I think this is interesting. I really need to debate on some things with you because it almost seems like you have zero ball knowledge. Wow, zero ball. So I don't know nothing about basketball. I think that's great. I don't know any. Don't say much love. No, don't say much love. Stand on what you said. I don't know anything about basketball, and that's fine that you don't think I know anything about basketball. I just don't think the Clippers are very good, and they weren't. I didn't think that they were very good this season. I did not. No, the fact that Kawhi Leonard came back when he came back, I think that he enhanced them, but that's neither here nor there. I want to get back to Joker. I don't want to throw off the track what we've been talking about here. So because of that, this Denver Nuggets team, Zubac gave them all that they can handle. I thought he did as good a job as anybody. Right? I thought he did as good a job as anybody against Joker, holding him to one shot, keeping him at bay, forcing him into tough shots. It's hard to keep Joker off the glass. It is very hard to keep Joker off the glass. Very hard. And I thought that the Clippers did a good job in attacking him in pick and roll. I thought they did a good job whenever they got by Christian Brown or their first line of defense, once they got to the rim, it wasn't difficult to go after Joker. It wasn't. So because it wasn't difficult to go after Joker, I thought that they did a good job in scoring at the rim. I thought they did a great job in making Joker play defense. The problem was they didn't really get by that first line of defense as much as they could have. And you know, I don't think that I just don't think that Clipper team had enough in order to. I just didn't think that they had enough in order to beat the Denver Nuggets. Like what Aaron Gordon was doing as a roamer, playing in the dunker spot. And this is a guy that's banged up. And with him being banged up, I mean, I think that took away some of his athleticism, but he still was athletic enough around the rim. He still was athletic enough around the rim that he still was able to finish. And I thought that was great from him, right? I thought that was great from him. Christian Brown gave them great minutes, especially in transition, causing turnovers, not just causing turnovers, but his ability to disrupt James Harden, force James Harden into tough shots. I thought that Russell Westbrook came off the bench, and I thought Russell Westbrook was fantastic. I mean, we did have a stretch throughout. We did have a stretch throughout the course of this season where there was serious conversation that Russ should be starting. That was going on. That Russ should be starting, and the conversation that, well, it worked with Joker. Why couldn't it work with James? Well, first of all, those guys are two different players. Joker is a legit big. James is a primary ball handler. Joker is not a primary ball handler. Joker is the guy they run the offense through. Jamal Murray is the primary ball handler. So with Jamal Murray being a primary ball handler and him running pick and roll action with Joker, the same thing goes with Russ. Russ knows where to find him. Russ knows how to find him. All of that stuff works. All of that stuff works in Russ's favor, especially in limited time. Like you're not making Russ do more than he has to do. On top of that, in this series, the Clippers made a conscious effort to leave Russ wide open. They made a conscious effort to leave Russ wide open. And Russ knocked down shots. That was big time. Because if we're being honest, that's exactly what you do with Russell Westbrook. You leave him open. And if we're going to lose with you knocking down shots, right? We're going to lose with you knocking down shots from the long ball line. We're going to leave you open because we don't trust the fact that you can consistently knock down open shots. That you could consistently knock down open shots. Turns out he could. And that was the difference in the series. They didn't have anybody with the Clippers to counter that. They didn't, on top of Russ's energy. Now, don't get me wrong. There were some games where Russ blew it. The series should have been over in 6. The series should have been over in 6, as we both know. Russ blew that open layup. That was the game right there. Russ, when Russ, they were up, they were down 6. With them being down 6, they're down 6. When Russ blows that open layup, that's the game because they fought to get back in the game. They're down, I think, 15 at one point. They get it to 6. Russ makes that layup. It's 4. We got a 2-possession game, and they're on. But instead, Russ blows that open layup, and that was the ball game. So I think that the collection of Russ coming off the bench, Peyton Watson being the defender that he is, cleaning up misses, and you got Russ on the cheap too. Don't leave that part out. I think you got Russ at like $3 million. That's almost nothing. So with getting Russ on the cheap, in addition to getting Russ on the cheap, Peyton Watson being the defender that he is, I even got some productive DeAndre Jordan minutes. It was just a collective effort. And then Joker, which I'm still bothered in game 5 that they had to win like that, because what Joker did, scoring the way he scored the basketball, that still bothered me because he did everything that he could, giving you 16 in the third, and then they build that 20-point lead, and then now all of a sudden the Clippers going to 30-9 run, and it's Joker save us. When where are you guys? That part I just didn't understand. I still have a difficult time with that, but with that being said, I do want to hear from you guys. Yep. I want to hear from you guys. We got the Knicks and the Celtics on right now. We got a one possession game. This is really good going on. So what's up?
What up, Jim?
What up?
Let me ask you, man, after watching that game 7 with Denver and the Clippers, if you're the GM for the Clippers this upcoming year, what you gonna do? You gonna keep the band together? You gonna make some shake some moves? You gonna get rid of some people? How would you try to make this a more competitive team?
I think that we've seen everything that we're going to see from this Clipper team. We know who James Harden is. Who is your man, Kawhi Leonard? It was just great to see him in the playoffs more than anything. I think that if that's how you're playing Kawhi Leonard, if that's how you're dealing with Kawhi Leonard where you basically ramp him up for the playoffs by starting him off slow where he doesn't really play much in the early stages of the season, I mean, that's fine. But we still know that come playoff time, James Harden, who will be 36, I think, in September or August, 36 in September. So he's a little long in the tooth. I still think James Harden's got another year or two left at this level. But with that being said, if you're trying to win it, you're not winning it with James Harden and Kawhi Leonard. You're not. So if you're just trying to sell tickets, then bet. I think you got your big man in Zubac. I think you got a great piece in Norman Powell.
Yep.
I love your bench, but where it is at your core. And at your core, you're not winning it with James Harden and Kawhi Leonard at your core. You're not. So
you think anybody would take the bait on trying to trade for Kawhi Leonard at this stage in his career?
Well, I think the Clippers have done enough to trick some teams into seeing that Leonard is still good enough that he can help you in the playoffs. He's still good enough that he can help you in the playoffs. He can still be a main piece in the playoffs if you manage him correctly. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Clippers moved off of him in the offseason. That would not surprise me if they did move off of him. That would not surprise me at all. Nope.
One more thing, Chill, before I go. I never want to hear D Wade versus James Harden ever again. No, never again.
I never thought it was a conversation, Minor, to be honest with you. I just never did. I never thought that it was a realistic conversation. I just never did. I never did. And the reason why I didn't was because Wade showed it to me too many times in the postseason. He showed it to me. And he showed it to me when the lights were the brightest. James Harden showed me when the lights were the brightest more than once, more than twice, that he would fold. He showed me that. That's why I didn't, and not just in the playoffs, but just overall as a player. I won't argue that James Harden, better ball handler. I think he's a better scorer, better long ball shooter. But I think that Wade does so many other things. So I'm good on. I'm good comfortably saying Wade is better than him. And this doesn't. What happened? Just what we just saw. This isn't indicative of that. This is a culmination of just everything that I've seen from James Harden. That I don't think Dwayne Wade and James Harden is. I don't think it's ever really been a conversation. But if you want to talk about it,
I think that performance the other night, I think that's just the period on that statement of Wade just ain't up to snuff when you're talking about that caliber of player. D Wade, Kobe, Mike. In my opinion, it's just a clear distinction between those three in the shooting guard category.
Well, is that your opinion on Minor? Because like he showed it to us in 2012 in the NBA Finals, and then we was like, nah, he young, give him some time. When in reality, maybe that's just who he is.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any time when I've seen James Harden absolutely be like put on a master class in a closeout game. I couldn't.
He'll give you games in the playoffs, though. Let's not.
No.
He'll definitely give you games in the playoffs. He gets busy.
But I'm saying in a closeout game, win or go home. Hey, my back is against the wall. It's up to me.
I'm pushing all my chips to the front of the table. If it's between Dwayne Wade and James Harden, all my bread is on Dwayne Wade.
Oh,
all of it.
Without a doubt. Betting the house and everything.
All of it.
College fun and everything.
All of it. All right, brother. You know where to find me at. I want to start this conversation by saying that was mean what you did, Joe.
What I did, Chill. First off, Peace and blessings, brother. How you doing today, brother? How we doing this fine playoff night? We starting off the round 2 tonight, brother.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, we started yesterday. We started yesterday, but
Now, all right. So, what are you upset about? You upset about me choosing Ant-Man versus Halliburton in the finals?
No. What you sent me earlier today when you and Lamont.
You gotta get in touch with me, brother. We gotta have a conversation, brother. We gotta talk about this, brother. We gotta set these YouTube streets on fire. Trust me.
That wasn't nice at all. I was like, oh man.
It was lovely on my end, brother. It was lovely on my end. But hey, I've always told you, right, that we're done with the 2000s and the 2010 players. It's the 2020s, right? We got to start appreciating these young dudes, right?
And
Let's stop. I get it. Experience matters in the playoffs. It really does. But we got to start realizing some of these guys have experience. They've been playing for a while. Donovan Mitchell's been playing for a while. SGA's been playing for a while. Anthony Edwards has been playing for a while. These guys have been in some dog fights in the playoffs before. So we got to start giving them some props. And I wouldn't be surprised, man, if we see a SGA and an Anthony Edwards finals, right? Rest of conference finals, right? And then we get a Jalen Brunson and a Halliburton Eastern Conference Finals. Could you imagine that?
The NBA would love that. The NBA would. Adam Silver is loving every bit of that.
Right, because you're not gonna get boring Jayson Tatum, right? Because nobody don't. I know you and I love Jayson Tatum, but we know nobody they don't like him. He's boring. He doesn't have too much to say. His game is not too flashy, right? Nobody wants to see that. Nobody believes in Cleveland. Nobody likes Cleveland in general. It's just something about the city. Shout out to all the Cleveland fans, but nobody really likes Cleveland in general. So nobody wants to see that. Joker's kind of boring. My son came to me today and said, "Man, Joker could just be playing around on the basketball court. He just be throwing the ball up in the air and it goes in." We want to see some excitement. We want to see Ant-Man talking crap, Tyrese Halliburton talking some crap, right? Jalen Brunson crossing people over to where they slide into the fifth row, right?
You'll get that. You'll get that with the problem with the Boston Celtics is the market is there and the tradition is there, and that's why people want to see that in terms of ratings. Now, the Boston Celtics are very much like the Navy SEALs. They zipped up and they very much business. Anthony Edwards, on the other hand, is walking in there like prime time, like, yo, we shutting these dudes down. That's
jumpsuits, gold chains.
Yeah, he got his shades on, he got his Jordans on, like, yo, we shutting these dudes down. These dudes, the Boston Celtics, they suited and booted, and they all business. Now, I understand that that's what the NBA is about, and Minnesota would be the villain in this series. And Ant would 100% be the villain because the Boston Celtics, remember, they're the rich kid. They would be the class, defending champs.
Yeah,
being the defending champs.
Ivy League guys.
Yes.
Yes.
TV. Meanwhile, Anthony Edwards, he bringing his brand. He bringing his band of characters from the other side of town. The dudes that's they couldn't get into the good school. They couldn't really, we don't really got the money. We don't really got the money to get into a nice school or any of that sort of stuff. I think it would be good for basketball to watch Indiana and Oklahoma City in the NBA final. I don't think anybody's going to watch that, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, but we all going to watch Minnesota and
we already on the hook. We
already on the hook. Yeah, listen.
On the hook. So
hey, let me. Over under. Draymond Green tackles Rudy Gobert. 2 games over and under. How long will it take Draymond Green over? It's gonna go over. He's going
at least 3.
He's going. So in game 3, by game 3,
no, at least 3.
At least 3 games.
At least 3 times.
3 times. Oh my God! Yeah, I was saying, what game are we gonna get this? Like, are we gonna get it by game 2, by game 3? You say it's gonna happen.
We're getting it in game 1. It's not. Jay, he punched Van Fleet in the face on a pass.
And Jalen Green. And Jalen Green.
So we already know his history with Rudy. We already know that. So, which, to be honest with you, it gets my blood pressure up because I've always wondered, because I'm not one of those kind of guys on the court, but I always wondered, how come nobody ever swung on Draymond? I don't understand.
Because it costs 25 stacks, 50 stacks.
I might have to write him a check.
Oh my God!
I might have to write Adam Silver a check because I'm swinging on Draymond.
And let me just say, he saw them coming last year, and that's why he yoked up Gobert last year, and that's one of my most famous Draymond Green, most infamous Draymond Green moments when he put him in that chokehold. That was hilarious. I can't wait for this series. This is going to be so much fun, so much trash talking. So I can't wait, man. Let me go back to watching the Knicks in
It's a good
Boston.
game right here.
And of course, man. Yeah, Eastern Conference, brother. Eastern Conference, man. Let's go, brother.
I'm an Eastern Conference dude, so good to talk to you, Jay.
All right, brother. Peace and blessings.
What up?
Yo, what up, Joe?
What up?
What up? Yeah, I appreciate Ox calling our swiper this morning with the whole Jokic stuff. Like he was saying how the team was so bad all year, and that team was great. The Nuggets are a great team, and so I just appreciated Ox calling them out this morning in regards to that. And I actually think they're gonna beat the Thunder. I think that their size.
We had a conversation earlier in the year that I said this. He won the NBA championship with Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, MPJ. He won the NBA championship with those three guys. So when you win an NBA championship where you got 4 of the 5 guys in the core that are there, Christian Brown was on that team when they won the NBA championship. So to say that these guys are unplayable, Swiper's point was unplayable at that point. I do understand that point, but we can't discount that they still had a good team. Yeah.
Well, no, what he told me was because I like to go to his lives after the Nuggets game. And let me say, man, I'm kind of disappointed in myself. This is the first time that I've actually watched the team because of Swiper, because of the narrative that he was pushing on Jokic.
You wanted to see Joker out in the first round.
Yeah,
you wanted him gone.
I wanted him to go, but he said that
the
team, this isn't the same team from the championship because the players have gotten worse. He said Michael Porter Jr. got worse, Aaron Gordon got worse, and Jamal Murray got worse, and I just never believed that. I always thought that this Nuggets team was great. And then in regards to this Knicks Celtics series, man, chill. Every time I watch Porzingis, I'm starting to not like him the more and more I see him. I just don't understand what's the point of him being so tall with the way that he plays. He's not great around the rim. He doesn't get rebounds. I really think this Celtics team would be better without him. But because of the amount of money he makes, it's no way they're gonna put him on the bench.
I do think that they're moving off of him after the season is out, but I don't think you give Porzingis enough credit for the offensive player and the scorer that he is around the rim. I don't think you give him nearly as much credit. How he forces mismatches and how he shoots in the mid range. I don't think you give him.
But he doesn't take advantage of the mismatches, Chill. He's not a great finisher around the rim.
Yes, he does. You wrong.
Well, I haven't seen it this year. You haven't. You seen it this year, Chill?
Yeah, I have seen it. Yes, I have seen it. I have seen him taking advantage
in the playoffs. You seen it in the playoffs?
In the playoffs, yes, I've seen it. 100%. Now, I think you got wrapped up in him going up against. I think you got wrapped up in him going up against as a defensive player going up against France and France taking advantage of him, and the fact that he wasn't able to shoot the ball particularly well against Orlando against that damn good defense that they have. That doesn't negate how good he is at that other stuff. He just had a bad he had a bad shooting performance. And I think that what bothers me the most about you in particular is how fickle you are when it comes to these guys. Like when you see something from a guy, if you don't see it, you out. You are out. You don't waste any time. You are gone. Like this Porzingis last season, like Porzingis was one of their best rim protectors. He's never been a great rebounder, ever. He's always been a good rebounder. When I say great, I mean double digits. I mean, he's always been a good rebounder. Better than Jaren Jackson. But he's been great at screening, been great at getting in the mid-post, getting in the mid-range, knocking down that mid-range shot, stretching the defense. He's always been good at that. He struggled against Orlando. That doesn't mean that he can't do that. And when you see these guys, when they don't do it for a stretch, you out. You don't waste any time with these guys. You are gone. And I just think that's so unfair.
I mean, I guess because Chill, it's like winning is important to me, and it's like you don't have a lot of time to win. Like I don't like when people say like whenever they have a young team, like, oh yeah, we can get them next year. Like sometimes it's not gonna be a next year. Like I said, I'm a football guy, so like whenever you lose, man, that could change a lot of people's careers. And so like with Porzingis, and it's not just now. I've seen him a lot of games. Tatum is playing amazing tonight, but I just don't like the way the offense looks with Tatum and Porzingis. I think that Tatum plays better when Luke Cornett is in the game. And I haven't really seen nothing in this Knicks game yet to show me otherwise. But even though I am quick to say something, though, Chill, whenever I am wrong, I'll admit that I'm wrong. Like whenever Rudy Gobert had that great game, I came up here and I said, yo, I was wrong about Rudy Gobert. and I'm ready to see what he does going forward because he showed me something. I haven't seen nothing from Porzingis yet to give me hope to change how I feel about him.
Well, we'll see. We're gonna find out. Good to talk to you, Classic.
All right, man. You have a good one.
Out. What up?
What up, Chill? You hear me?
What's up, brother?
What's up, man? These playoffs have been very good. I feel like I picked every team wrong, but in a way, I've been kind of enjoying most of them. But I think the next series I'm the most interested is in the Warriors. You know what? To be fair, it's the Denver and the OKC series and the Warriors versus Timberwolves. I think, and at this point, to me, it's starting to kind of elevate. I know I saw on the panel a couple of people talking about like they don't believe Ant has the skill sets to be, like a top 5 player. I think he has all of them, to be fair. And I think if you add the mentality as well, and I think one of the things as well of Ant, which people kind of don't realize about him, is that some of the stuff outside of finish at the rim sometimes with Ant, I think that's sometimes a bit more difficult for him. But he does make a lot of the stuff that he does do look easy. And I feel like that's the issue that I have with somebody like Luka, where a lot of the shots are just hard work. Every time it's just hard work. And plus, if you don't make... Go on.
I want you to keep going, but would that be because of Ant's athleticism that he makes things look a lot easier than it really is?
Oh, 100%.
I think he's a superior athlete to Luka.
100%. If you don't have the athleticism, you wear out it's the same with James Harden. You wear out in the playoffs because your shots are harder because you can't do things athletically. And then on the other end of the floor, you can get exploited. Now, I'm not saying James Harden gets exploited as much as somebody like Luka, but I'm saying to you in terms of Luka, if you look at the way Luka plays, all of his shots are just hard, contested. And when he has athletic defenders in front of him, he struggles because he's not a great athlete.
You can't live on that. You can't live on that, Amari. If I'm taking difficult shots, if the majority of my shot diet are just tough shots, that's a recipe for disaster. I'm not going to be able to live on it.
100%. And he's one of the best tough shot makers I've ever seen. So I feel like, and I said this on your show probably a while ago now, but I said this: Luka Doncic can only win with a very specific team. If that team isn't built around him like the Lakers had, then they're not going to win anything. And they have to have a specific set of players. Now, Anthony Edwards, on the other hand, I feel like the removal of Karl Anthony Towns surprised me in how good they were without him, because I really like that team with Cat. And even though I can't stand the fact that I like Karl Anthony Towns a lot, they've been really good with Julius Randle's, and the way they play in the playoffs. I think the Golden State Warriors, I don't think Julius Randle's going to be able to get off as much in the series. And I think the series is going to come down to who's going to play the better defense throughout the series. I think the offenses are just going to stagnate for both of the teams, because I feel like Golden State can kind of play the perimeter players very well with Jimmy Butler. I don't think Jimmy Butler and Draymond will be able to do much with and I don't think so, but I do think they'll be able to do a lot with Rudy. I think Draymond will kind of push Rudy out of the paint. Rudy doesn't really like to be pushed underneath his lower half too much. Draymond's going to get underneath him a lot. It's going to come down to if McDaniels can make shots from the perimeter. I think that's going to be a lot of what it's going to be about. If McDaniels and if Naz Reid can get into the game and make shots from the perimeter, I think if one of those teams start making a lot of shots from the perimeter, I think it's going to basically be a series I think it's going to go 7, and I think the Wolves, actually no, I think it's going to go 6, and I think it's going to go to the Wolves. I think the Wolves are a little bit the younger team. I think they're the better team, to be fair, and I think they've got the better player. So I think that's going to be an interesting series to me to watch, especially to see how Edward plays against us, because I don't think there's a matchup for Edwards in that series. And
everything that you're saying, Amari, is correct. It's just that goddamn Steph Curry, man.
You know what? And you know what about that Steph Curry thing? This is the thing about Steph Curry.
It's the thing too, by the way, Amari. Let's be clear about this. It's 100% a thing.
It is a thing, but one thing I've noticed about the Golden State Warriors over the last couple of years, you can work them. Unlike the years prior, 10 years ago, where you just didn't know what the hell they was going to do. This Golden State Warriors team is more predictable, and they rely on Steph more. And if Steph doesn't play well, they don't win. This is not like it was 10 years ago where the whole team could play well. They need Steph Curry to play well. Yeah. So I think if they take Steph out of this series, and I think they have the athletes to do so, because now Steph is older and he can't run around. Even though he's still doing the same things, it just looks a little bit different. And I think if they take him and figure out this series early, I think they can take Golden State out of the series. I think the same thing that happened there when they played against the Lakers. The Lakers worked them out earlier. They didn't have any size in the middle. Yeah. And the Lakers just kept going to it. And I feel like the repeated actions that I don't think Steve Kerr is the greatest adjustment coach in the world. So I think if they find something that's replicable, and then they can do it. But just quickly, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the OKC Denver series, because I think it's going to be OKC again in 6 against Denver. I have faith in Nikola Jokic, but I don't have faith in that. They're running a 6-man lineup, and I feel like at a certain point,
sometimes 7, and that's gonna wear on them 100%.
Oh, 100%.
Oklahoma City got 9 guys, 9 quality guys. Yes,
they got 9 guys, and one of the things I just found out in the playoffs, Denver is turning the ball over the 4th most in the playoffs. And
Jamal Murray in particular.
Jamal Murray a lot. But who is one of the people on that team that they're relying on slightly a little bit in the playoffs that you just can't trust the ball in his hands? Russell Westbrook. You got 2 guys that turn the ball over a lot, and you've got a team that force turnovers a lot. And again, Russ isn't necessarily known for his high IQ. So I'm concerned that if you get some of these OKC players on Russ in certain moments, he's going to turn the ball over a lot, and they're going to force it out of his hands, and they play quick up and down the court. They've got Chet to kind of deal with Jokic. But I think on the perimeter, I think they've got Chet. I don't think has a chance against Jokic. I honestly don't think he has
that's
any
the
chance.
thing. That's where you and I differ. I think Chet's going to be the difference in this series because of his ability to stretch the defense and the fact that he's going to drag Joker away from the rim. There aren't many teams that get to the rim more than Oklahoma City, which because Chet is dragging him away from the rim, I think that you're going to give Oklahoma City a lot more opportunity to rebound the basketball, just as a small unit because they gang rebound. And I think their second chance opportunities are going to be huge in this series. And I think that could be a difference in the game. But I think the biggest difference in the game is what you just talked about. And I said this earlier today, and that is I think that Oklahoma City's ability to turn you over defensively, I think that that's going to be the difference in them being able to turn their defense into offense. And I don't think Denver's going to be able to overcome that.
Oh, 100%.
I think I got OKC in 6.
Okay, could you see this being a 5-game series? Because I can see that being a 5-game series as well, to be fair. I can see Joker getting you one.
I would not be surprised if they smoked them in 5, but I'm thinking 6. I don't think it goes past 6 games. I don't.
Okay.
I'd be surprised if it did. So, all right, bro.
Take it easy, Joe.
Good to see you, man. Absolutely. What up?
You know, I don't usually have sympathy for people, but I had to come up here and make sure that you are right after that train accident, bro. Like, you okay? Everything's
no, I'm
okay?
Not. No, I'm not. I'm a figment of your imagination. I'm not even here right now. I'm dead.
No. Yeah, you still got bad elbow.
No, nothing. I'm not even here right now. You in the Matrix? You think you see me? You don't.
I'm in the Matrix, man.
I tried to get off the train. I couldn't get off.
No. Chill out. What did we learn? We learned the same things over and over again. I don't have no sympathy for Bobby. I told him not to trust James Harden. I told you. You were there when I told you that. You were there when I told him that. I don't have no sympathy for him. I have sympathy for you because you kept getting handcuffed. Like, I got to get off this train, and then you got back on it, and then you see what happened.
No, I didn't. No, Lee, I didn't get back on it. I was dragged back on it. Okay, Lee, make sure we clear on that. I didn't get back on it. I was dragged back on this train, right? By the Clipper Mob and Bobby and all these other dudes. I was dragged back on this train and strapped in.
Listen, this goes and shows and proves that just Kawhi Leonard healthy doesn't prove a damn thing, especially when you got James Harden as your number 2.
Leaf, what else do you need to see? We're not winning with him. We're not. What else do you need to? He'll be 36 in September. Understand, and Leaf, because I very much want to hear what you have to say about this. He'll be 36 years old in September. He's been in the league since 2009. That's 17 years we're going off of. You got 17 years of evidence. What else do you need to see, Leaf? You've seen this. Listen. And by the way, Leaf, let's make sure we clear, because I want to hear your thoughts on this. He's never missed the playoffs. He's been in the playoffs every year of his career. What else do you need to see?
Well, I was under the small inclination that all they needed was a healthy Kawhi Leonard. Under the small inclination, Bobby had me thinking that for like all the way up until Game 7 until the ass whooping took place, and then I had to realize this is the Clippers and they got James Harden. So a healthy Kawhi Leonard doesn't prove anything. This is like if this is Kawhi Leonard in 2019, I think that series is over. That series is over. Like this we ain't even talking about it. We're moving on to the next round, this, that, and third. But the fact that it's not, I have to come to that conclusion. James Harden has the number 1, number 2, number 3 has not got it done in the playoffs. We've seen him at all 3 phases, and he has not got it done.
And we've
Just that
seen him,
simple.
and not only have we seen him as a number 1, a number 2, and number 3, we've seen him with quality players. Don't forget,
Oh
he
my
played with
God.
Joel Embiid. He played with Russell Westbrook. He played with Kawhi Leonard. He played with Kevin Durant. Right? These are the guys that he's played with. And we've got 17 years of evidence with this guy. What else do you need to see? There's nothing else.
I will say one thing. I know I'm excited about the MVP matchup. I am excited about that. SGA versus Joker. I mean, this is kind of what a lot of fans wanted to see. I think as a team, everything on paper says OKC has a lot of the advantages, but we all know, me and you both know, this shit ain't played on paper, it's played on the court. If OKC has all the advantages that everybody says that they do, they need to prove it. They had 10 days off, 10, 11 days off.
8 days.
They had 8 days. They played 4 games since since April 13th. I'm like, okay. I'm like, yo, this team has had a lot of rest. But when the young team got a lot of rest, they ain't got nothing to do. They just practice, hang around. I heard whatchamacallit was cutting grass, and whatever. So yeah. So I mean, this ought to be an interesting series. I think it could be. I want to talk about the Indiana and Cavs series. 70 points in the paint and 19 threes made off of 52% from 3. That'll get you an L in the playoffs.
I just don't think that people. I think they discount way more what Darius Garland brings to this crew. That's
absolutely.
I think that's my biggest issue. Like you can't just
100%.
You can't just take 20-7 out of the lineup and think that, okay, that's just 20-7 and we can make this up. No, Darius Garland, this is your primary ball handler. This is your primary facilitator. This is your playmaker. Now you got to make that up with Ty Jerome. You got to make that up with Sam Merrill. In addition to everything else that they have to do. No, you're not getting that. On top of that, they did an awful job. I'm not saying that they did a bad job. They did an awful job early in the game guarding at the long ball line. These guys got whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted. And when you have a team immediately getting it going, it's hard to turn that water off. It's almost impossible.
I think the issue in this series is that Indiana naturally spaces your defense out because from 1 to 5 they got competent shooters. That's number one. Number two, they run the offense that they run with Rick Carlisle is similar to the offense that you've seen 2011 Mavs run, more free flowing action. They got an ultimate distributor in Halliburton. I've been really impressed by how he's been playing. I'm gonna give Ron some grace the next time I see him because the draft lottery is next week and people are gonna be picking on me and they're gonna be asking me a whole bunch of silly ass questions. But I think Indiana, they have the natural ability to space your defense out. So everything is man to man. So if you leave a guy open like a Nembhard, like a Halliburton, or like a Ben Mathurin, or like even a Miles Turner, they can get it going and they can heat up and get things going. They're gonna force you to play man to man defense, and that's what I was worried about with Indiana. Like
they need Garland back.
They definitely do. Yeah, for sure. Now, before I go, I'll be remiss if I wasn't going to talk about the ass whooping that's going to take place in Minnesota. I told you Steph Curry punk ass, sorry ass is next, and I mean that. Listen, look, this ain't the Warriors team from 8 years ago that could just Steph Curry could sit down in the fourth quarter and then the game is be fine, and that's what they trying to play like. Buddy Hield had an amazing game. But we don't expect that from him in this back and forth in this series. From 1 to 8, I think from 1 through 8, I think Minnesota is much better. I don't think they got to play on the war. There's not a player on the Warriors bench that can go toe to toe with Naz Reid and Alexander Walker and who else they got on their bench? I'm missing somebody. DiVincenzo.
Yeah, DiVincenzo. Yes, sir.
DiVincenzo. So I mean. Minnesota, I think they got all the ingredients to win this series. I think Draymond is going to kind of dirty it up a little bit, but I think that's where Julius Randle going to come in and he going to start lowering some muscle himself. So I got Minnesota to win this shit in 5. To be honest with you, I mean, I don't think the Warriors should win a damn thing. They was in a dog fight with the Houston Rockets. I don't believe in this team not one bit. The NBA can't do a damn thing about it, man. They can put as much gravity and Steph Curry shooting hand as they want to. He
Ain't
gonna
no
get his ass.
conspiracy theories going on here. I can tell you
He
that
gonna
right
get his
there.
ass kicked. He gonna get his ass kicked.
All right,
He
Lee.
gonna get his ass kicked. That's what's gonna happen.
All right, brother. What up?
Yo, what's good, OG?
What up?
Yo, touching base on that Timberwolves Warriors series. I ain't gonna lie. I was thinking like what you said earlier. It's like we got everything that we need as far as offense, defense. I liked how Rudy played last game, which I feel like it shouldn't have took him 5 games to get him a 2020 game against the Lakers. But
especially with James at the 5.
yeah, we had James at the 5. It was at times you had Rui Hachimura, Dory Finney-Smith on you. It's like, bro, go down there and bang. Stop tapping the ball out. Go grab that bitch. Go back up.
Right.
But that's neither here nor there. But it's just it's that Steph Curry, like how you said, it's that Steph Curry, man. It's like he gonna give you. He might have that 1 or 2 off games where he had them games where he's like 1 for 11, 1 for 10, maybe 2 for 10 or somewhere like that.
Just him being there.
Just him being there all
just
around,
him
and that's where it's like
being
I feel like that's where they're gonna get us at on defense. It's like they really have a fast pace and they move the ball a lot. And that's where I feel like they'll take Rudy out of his position. You know what I'm saying? We also can kill us. We have terrible fucking shot making, terrible fucking shot selection. That's excuse me. But because we'll come down sometimes. We'll like I've seen in the Lakers series, we'll come down fast break, just chuck up a 3. For what reason? We have numbers. Take those numbers and go with it. But it's like that's where I feel like we can dominate as. We need to take advantage of this small ball lineup. And I feel like the physicality is gonna be a lot more different. I ain't gonna say it feel like it. It's gonna be a lot more different with Draymond and Rudy.
Hell yes,
but I have
yes.
faith in Rudy that he gonna get it done in this series and close it out in 6.
Yes. I don't think y'all getting put. Draymond is not pushing around Julius Randle. Draymond is not pushing around Anthony Edwards. Draymond is not roughing up McDaniels. He is not doing that with them dudes
at all. And that's why
he's not doing that with them dudes. So if
that's
that's your plan, you're gonna have to try something else.
I love
that's
where
not
we're
gonna
at
work
in this series with that because it's not like the Lakers. It's like what you said earlier in the beginning of the stream. We can't treat the second round like the first round.
You got the stuff that you did in round 1. You're not gonna get away with that in the second round.
In round 2, that's what I'm saying.
You got a better team, and with better teams, the mistakes that you made, the passes, the rotations, you're not gonna get away with that stuff. Right. No, you're dealing with a better team. So we have to be crisper. We have to be sharper than we were in round 1. And I think Minnesota recognized that going up against this Golden State team. So we're going to find out.
We're going to find out.
Good to talk to you, brother. What up?
You're on.
What up?
So imagine you're a teacher. You're grading your tests, all right? You stumble upon Steph Curry's test paper from Game 7. From A+ to F-, what are you giving that test?
A B-.
Okay. I was just curious. We're around the same ballpark. I said a B flat.
Yeah, I'll give him a B-. He did. He. The test was broken up into 4 parts, and he ended up in the latter part of the test. He did really well. He didn't do well in the beginning part of the test. He was bombing this thing. He was completely bombing this thing. But then we get later into the test, and he started to pick it up. And then at the end, he was able to get it done. And I thought that's what it was with Steph Curry yesterday.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel confident with them going in to the Timberwolves series for a big reason for me, because I feel like the Rockets are like Steph Curry's villain nightmare for archetypes. Those bouncy athletic wings. Like, I'm not saying that the Timberwolves don't have that, but the Rockets' whole team is consisted of that.
Yes.
So, and plus,
Steph Curry struggles, by the way, when I said that, I was ridiculous when I said that Steph Curry struggles with length and athleticism. He's always struggled with length and athleticism as a player. He's always struggled with that. Always.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that, and plus, like, I mean, the Timberwolves are confident they beat the Lakers, but I mean, the Lakers were down pretty bad with no center, putting James at the 5. Luka didn't have a roster around him to help him succeed, in my opinion. But I don't know. It's going to be a good series, though.
It is.
It's going to be an interesting series.
Going to be a good series. All right, Jake, good to talk to you, brother.
Deuces.
Yep. Speaking of deuces, guys, it's about that time for me. I'm way over time. It was good to see you guys tonight. You know where to find me. I'm on TikTok, 9 a.m. every morning, Monday to Friday. Good morning, NBA. If you can't find me there, I'm on the panel from 11 to 2 on the Players Choice Network right here on YouTube. If you can't find me there, you can find me right here on Chilltown Hoops weeknights. Me and my man Tony Tone, we do it on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, Sports Fluent Network and the Chilltown Hoops Network. So I'm not hard to find, guys. On Thursday, me and my man Big Ox, and on Saturday, we do Chill with Chill. Hit the subscribe button and you'll get notifications. I will see you guys soon. Until then, put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother. When's the last time you talked to your mother? Call your mother. I will talk to you guys soon, but until then, take it light. Take it. Absolutely, man. It was good to see you guys tonight, no doubt.